The laws is deadly, gotta get your mind ready. Pay attention, you could be home by January. I'd like to welcome you to my law library. Hustlers who hustling, gun busters who squeezing, gangsters who eating, thieves who sneak thieving. If you still breathing, I'd like to welcome you to section 190.05 grand jury proceedings. You broke the law allegedly and you caught a case. You sitting in the cell with your hands on your face. The district attorney, they gotta get an indictment, so they take your case to the grand jury. You not invited.
What's going on, y'all? It's J Moore. Video number 3 here. Be another response to Yaz Magnified. For just a quick recap, basically I've made a couple videos pertaining to a little feud that's going on between the educators out here for child support, and you know, I thought I'd weigh in on it. And the reason I even got involved in the first place is because I'm of the opinion that, you know, just from dealing with these people, that they're making it very, very, very difficult for people to get away from them. And I just feel like all the information we can get is crucial, you know, because this is damaging people. It comes hard and it comes quick and it's relentless. And I feel like the more education that's being pushed rather than, you know, these kind of disputes that's going back and forth is just way more beneficial, man. I really wish that this had kind of end, and you know, everybody just kind of working together instead of kind of going at each other a little bit. And I feel like it could be that way because my opinion of the whole situation is that nobody is defrauding anybody. And I'm just trying to help Yaz Magnify from my point of view understand that, because I don't, you know, I understand where he's coming from, but maybe if he kind of maybe can see things how I'm seeing it, or and just get, you know, kind of understand the greater purpose, and understand that these guys are more than likely they're not defrauding anybody. I'm not even going to say more than likely. I honestly think that there is no fraud involved with those guys. And, you know, I don't want you to feel that way. And I want you to, you know, to be making some of the good educational videos you were, and you still do, instead of having to waste time going back and forth about something that may not even be true. So anyways, this is just probably my last attempt to, you know, just to weigh in. You know, I don't want to, you know, act like I'm trying to insert myself in something that ain't got nothing to do with me. So, but again, I just want to attempt to get everybody, you know, working together, or at least to end it, because, you know, even though it is a little entertaining, I'm not gonna lie, it's entertaining to watch. I just understand that what we're dealing with is so important. Man, I'd rather see y'all pumping out great information like you have been in the past. And that does go for a certain 3 though. Not and I'm just gonna say it for the last time, Wasil. You know, I only said the truth, bro. I didn't say anything that was untrue about my experience with you. So you can't be mad at that. You know, you're already calling me a bitch and all that, and want to you know, do a debate, dude. I'm not interested in any of that. You've been doing this a lot longer than me, so, you know, why would I expect to know any more than you? I mean, it benefits me in no way, and I'm not gonna be getting involved in these online disputes. And you know, I'm not here for that. That's a bunch of nonsense in my opinion. So, if you want, you can keep messaging me and all that, but all that's gonna go ignored, bro. Just letting you know. All right, so let's get to topic of the video. So I'll just read what he wrote. And again, there's no beef between us, so I don't want anybody thinking that. But I just thought, you know, some of the things he was saying would be a good kind of lesson to build off too, about some of the things we just need to know to about these people when we're dealing with them, and how to deal with them. So anyways, I had kind of gave my opinion that, he's not defrauding you. And I said one of the reasons they're not going to be able to provide clear proof, even if they got proof, it's never going to be just clear cut and dry. And, that's because of precedence. Once you get a precedent established, which is basically a ruling on, in this instance, it would be the ruling that child support is against the law, and your order must be dismissed for whatever reason you brought forth that, would support that. And you're never gonna get a decision like that clearly. So that's kind of the route I went. But this was his response. It says, I see what you're saying, but you're talking about someone who has proof of his case being dismissed. Now, I never asked them to show why his case was dismissed. No, and you're true. That is true. That's not what you're asking for. So you're right there. I only asked him to show proof of his dismissal. He the one making the claim. If his case was dismissed and he said it was, he would not have a problem showing his paperwork. Why? Because it's all public record. Remember, I was Osiris Climate by first hand knowledge. I know his paperwork did not work. This guy is a fraud. Okay. I have to disagree. And I think if I'm assuming that you went about this process a certain way, if you did, I think maybe I'll be able to convince you that it's not. I mean, your point, there's definitely fraud involved, but it's not coming from Osiris in his paperwork. It's coming from these people we're dealing with, these public officials, man. They're the ones that, said no to you. They're the ones that gave you a hard time about this, even though you brought in law, which I'm sure you had to have. If you brought in Osiris paperwork. So this is what I have to say to that. I'm assuming when you got his paperwork, you read it and you looked up the laws, and everything coincided and it made sense, and then you put that into, the case or whatever, and you were supposed to have a hearing on that, or, you put that in as a defense or whatever. Okay. I feel like you probably did the same thing with the next pleadings that you brought in about the straw man and all that stuff. And you did the same exact thing. Whatever paperwork it was, whether you made it or got it from whoever, I don't know. I'm sure you read it, or at least confirmed that all the laws you were bringing in were, they supported your argument for why it should be dismissed. And so that, you did the same thing in both instances, I'm sure. You brought in laws that suggested that the case should be dismissed each time. But one time it got dismissed, one time it did not. So what's the difference? What makes one proceeding different from the next? I have to assume, and I know that this was in my case. It was a procedural error. I'm thinking that you might have missed something that you were supposed to do procedurally, and maybe they didn't tell you, because that's exactly what they did to me. And I'll even explain that in a little bit. Bottom line is, no matter what the reason was, these people they move in such a fraudulent way. Your case could have been dismissed the first time for a ton of reasons, all of them which wouldn't have been whether the information was correct, and they will not even identify to you what the actual reason was, because they want to keep you lost. They are not going to help you at all for the most part to get out of this. So I kind of was going to read my paperwork just to kind of back up what I'm saying about how how tricky they are and how they're going to use every avenue they can to dismiss your plea and to keep you on child support. But obviously you did something the second time. Maybe you fixed that procedural error, or maybe it was just a test. Maybe they just sent you away the first time just to see if you come back, because they do that. And I know you said you had an appeal and everything. So more than likely, it was probably something other than that. But they might have, dude. I'm telling you, there's a ton of reasons why, and you would never even know. That's how tricky these people are. They're scumbags, and I just don't want you blaming, I'm in for that when it had nothing to do with his paperwork. Because again, if you read it and the laws matched up with the logic, the laws were clear, they were actual laws from a credible source. I mean, you can't argue it, so it has to be something else. All right. So I'll just read mine real quick. This was after my first hearing, and I'll point out how, and this is really turned into a lesson not necessarily for you, y'all's magnified for like those new people out there that they really don't know how these guys operate yet and how on point you gotta be, because these guys are so slippery and tricky. They just make everything really hard. So, it's got my name, all that stuff. Then it says opinion after hearing on defendant's motion to dismiss and counterclaim for damages. I had put in a counterclaim for damages. I honestly didn't think I was going to win any money, but I just wanted to throw it in there to see how they were going to dance around it. But anyways, it says the parties appeared for a hearing based on defendant father's petition to dismiss and counterclaim to reward damages. A review of the court file indicates that plaintiff mother filed a complaint for separate maintenance on September 11, 2015. An ex parte uniform child support order began October 13, 2015, setting defendant father's obligation at 619. An ex parte conciliation order was entered on October 9, 2015, granting plaintiff mother sole legal and physical custody of the children and reasonable parenting time for the defendant father. It's got more dates, and it says December 2015. Plaintiff mother amended her complaint to separate maintenance to a complaint for divorce. That complaint for divorce was voluntarily dismissed on February 1st, 2016. July 27th, plaintiff mother motion to reinstate her complaint for separate maintenance. October 5th, 2016, plaintiff mother again motioned court to amend her complaint for separate maintenance to a complaint for divorce. That motion was granted October 21st, 2016. I'm reading fast because, if you haven't noticed, they're not saying anything, and I'll explain how they're not, but they're just rattling off a bunch. This is factual evidence or whatever of things, but they have nothing to do with the pleadings. It's just filling up space. Anyways, let me continue. On November 18th, 2016, judgment of divorce was entered. On November 22nd, 2016, defendant father wrote friend of the court a letter requesting proof of the application for child support loan contract that bore his wet inked autographed signature, as well as proof of your authority in this matter. So finally they get to something that is pertaining to what the actual issue is. And it says, on May 18, 2017, defendant father, as a self-represented litigant, filed a petition to dismiss and counterclaim to reward damages. The 19-page petition was accompanied by 24 pages of exhibits. I told you guys, I went in, man. I put a lot of information in there because I honestly, I thought it was gonna, I didn't leave him many holes to get out of. And I really didn't, but they're so slippery. Oh man, they didn't even acknowledge my paperwork, and I'll get to that in a minute. A hearing on defendant father's petition was held on June 13th, 2017. At the hearing, plaintiff mother and defendant father were self-represented litigants. The hearing did not proceed smoothly, and this is where she now she's got to concentrate on my behavior as if that's got anything to do with what needs to be addressed. But as the court attempted to gather basic background information from a friend of the court staff attorney, defendant father continually objected and interrupted both the friend of the court representative and the court. The court then attempted to gather background information from the defendant father with limited success, even though documentation in the file shows that defendant father was married to plaintiff mother on August 29, 2005, and plaintiff mother testified that she married defendant father on August 29, 2005, that she has a marriage certificate from the state stating the parties were married on August 29, 2005, that the defendant father's signature is on the marriage certificate, and that the party signatures were witnessed by two individuals. The defendant father refused to acknowledge that he was ever married. Defendant father continued to exhibit rude, disruptive, disrespectful, and somewhat bizarre behavior until the court simply ended the hearing. And then finally it comes to the conclusion. It says, a review of the court file and defendant father's petition seems to indicate that he is requesting a dismissal of a default judgment of divorce, and particularly a dismissal of his child support obligations. Defendant father states that the child support program is voluntary, and I did not wish to participate in the program. He further states that being a part of the program is an intentional scheme to defraud me of my property. And it said defendant's petition is dismissed, and defendant counterclaim is dismissed. It is so ordered. So I know that was kind of long, but okay. So that was the opinion. Now, so let me break this down. Why is this right here to me is it type of stuff is enough fraud for all of these people to be be disciplined harshly, because basically what these people are doing is they purposely speak another language to you when you are dealing with some of the most important matters that are going to affect your life. They're in there speaking a language that allows for them to communicate right over your head and get you into things that you have no idea that you're getting into, unless if they would have spoken plain English and told you the truth about everything, you wouldn't have any problems. You would have simply, you would have fully understood, and you would have made the appropriate decision, and you would be able to do that without a lawyer. But this is how these people operate, fraudulently through their language. So let me see. So right here it says defendant father wrote the friend of the court. It said on November 22nd. So and it says that I asked for proof of the application for child support loan contract that bore my wedding signature. So right here she's admitting she understands what the issue is at hand. And then the next little paragraph says, on May 18th, defendant father, a self-represented litigant, filed a petition to dismiss. And now she's not specifically stating what the petition was for, but if you have to understand that she stated that in the first pair. You got to kind of put one and two together, or one and one, or two and two, or whatever. Obviously, if I'm asking for proof of this loan agreement, then when I file a petition, that petition is going to pertain to whether that these people have not shown proof, and that it needs to be dismissed because there's not one that exists that was obtained through the correct lawful processes. So that's the whole point. But do you hear anything addressed about that? You hear a bunch of nonsense about dates and when, little stupid stuff about when stuff was filed. Nothing about what proof the Title 4D agency had that I had agreed to enter into a child support contract. There's nothing. There's nothing that indicates that that's what we're here for. Well, it does, but it does in a very slick way. And she goes on. She talks about my behavior, all that stuff, and then just on that, she tries to make me sound like I'm crazy. She says the mother testified that there was a marriage certificate. Okay, yeah. And and then she said the defendant father refused to acknowledge that he was ever married. Now what happened was she asked if I was married, and I simply told her, well, there's several answers to that question. I mean, it depends on how you're asking. Under the eyes of the Lord, yes. Legally, no, because the marriage certificate is a contract. And that's what married people are operating under. That's the initial document that got you tied in. But and so basically, she's saying here, she's saying why I can't be released. It's because this contract's in order, because the marriage certificate is signed. But then she could turn around and make me sound crazy too, because I understood that and I wasn't gonna say, well, yeah, I mean, no. How are you defining whether I'm married or not? Because if you're asking if I entered this marriage certificate legally, I'm gonna say no. And then she didn't. Once I said, it depends. How are you asking that question? She just turned and asked, my child's mother instead. She did because she knew where I was going. She knew what I meant. But anyways, this video is getting long. I'll break down some other stuff later. I had some other documents. Maybe what I was gonna do is help you understand that this is crap. Because the other thing, they're not. Did you hear any law? Did you hear one law that was provided in the body of this document that supported her opinion? There's not one law in here. And what I might show you next video is how a real opinion from not I can't really say a real judge, but a judge that has his obligation to make the correct rulings is taken more seriously up in the higher courts or in federal court and stuff like that. We'll look at how their opinion or judgment or whatever actually has law in it. That's how it's supposed to be. But they're not putting any law in here because I've defeated all the laws that they claim tie me into this. And if they were to hang one out there for me to say this is what we're working under, I could identify that, isolate it in the next proceedings and say no, that doesn't apply. But they don't want to put any law. They can't put any law because there is no law to when I'm saying that this is voluntary. There's no law then that can unprove that unless it's a law that says that it's not, and there's not one. So that's just another thing I wanted to point out. They're so slippery. They're not using law. They're just playing a game on you to keep sucking funds out of you until you properly come in there, or maybe you just go in there enough times where they just know you're not going away. I mean, it's just hard probably the first time to go in there and get it done because these people are not looking to help you. They are looking for anything you do wrong to keep it going. And it's just a fact of the matter of there's so many little things that they've put in place to trip us up that it's going to be hard for you to know all those things and execute what you need to do to avoid all those things on your first time or your second time, like me. So it's just a heads up. This thing is tough. I appreciate the few little views I got. Yeah, it's magnified, man. Like I said, I hope, my opinion kind of changed your mindset, man. I think we're focused on the wrong thing. If Alman Osiris provided you with their laws, I honestly don't think you can call the man fraudulent because if he's providing their laws and it's not working, that means something else is going on. That's really the simplest way I put it, anyways. But all right, peace to everybody. Just hopefully we can keep good videos coming from everybody that's doing this, that's really trying to help the guys that are legit out here. And with that being said, man, peace, everybody.
I'm representing with the last dawn, repping the city, breaking new rap songs, teaching supreme mathematics. You got your math wrong. Reaching in hydraulic stash boxes to grab crumbs with the head triggers that fire soon as you rap wrong. Yeah, he averaged like Miami before they had LeBron. And Mac got a kick like Street Fighter from Capcom.